right, guys, we're going a little rogue today. Hey guys, and welcome back to Opal&Mint. I am Ashley. Welcome back to our Flower Everyday series. We're painting a flower every single day in the month of July, and we're going to go a little crazy today. We are on day 8, I believe. Yes, day 8. Let's see what kind of flower this is. In this series, we're keeping these quick, simple, and hopefully beginner friendly. Today might be a little bit crazy, but we're going to go for it. What kind of flower is this? These flowers appear to be carefree spirit landscape shrub roses. Okay, I believe this is a type of a rose then. And I was looking at this, trying to figure out how I'm going to paint this in a loose way and a beginner-friendly, simple way. And I decided we're going to do some line work today. Now, I was going to use a fine liner, but if you don't have access to a fine liner, I'm going to use a pencil. So you can do this with a fine liner or a pencil. You can start with a pencil and go over it with the fine liner, whatever floats your boat. But we're going to try to work on perspectives of flowers and kind of just the shapes of the flowers with this. So we are sketching technically first, but this is going to be fun, okay? We learn by doing and making mistakes and failing. So this is how we're going to learn, all right? We're going to keep this really loose. So let's look at this one that's just kind of facing us. We have a center that's just full of these like scraggly, twisting things. So in my mind, that's just going to be scraggling, twisting things. Okay, so there's our center. Like literally scribble in the shape of that. Okay, and then our petals are coming out and just kind of warping and twisting. So we've got some that like ruffle. We've got some that are more petal shaped. We've got layers of petals. So like this one's in front. We're going to do one coming out behind it like so. Let's do another one. Again, don't worry about making them just like the reference. Just kind of put in some petals, okay? We've got one that's kind of curved up, so we're going to make it look, it looks like it's short, but it's curved here. Hold on. There you go. It's kind of curved over, and then it's got a petal behind it, and maybe another one here. Okay. So here's a flower, kind of just a mess of petals. I want another one kind of squished up against it. So we have another center. Let's just kind of scribble, scribble, scribble. And then we'll have a petal coming out this way. These are going to be kind of squished like so. Again, I want another kind of curved petal. So you've got petal and then the flopped over side. Another petal here and here. Maybe one behind it. Okay. So we've got two. Should we go for a third? Let's go for a third. Let's do one that's kind of facing upwards where we don't really see the center. We're just kind of seeing the side view. So you've got a stem and maybe a couple of little petal leaf things. What are those called that's right under the petals? I don't know. So we've got to have kind of a bowl shape coming up. Let's see, we got a petal here, coming here, and then maybe a couple behind it even. So we can see that side. This one's going to have some petals coming down even. Okay? So there's our basic, super quick, sketchy, just make a mess. And I don't know what else I want to do, if I want to have any leaves. What do the leaves look like? I don't see many of the leaves in here. I see a bunch of stems. Let's see. I think they're probably going to be jaggedy leaves, like serrated leaves like roses are. So let's do one here. Maybe, no, where else? Maybe just the Got half of one here coming up this way. Yeah, I feel like this needs 2 leaves. So let's put another one here. There we go. Okay, so whether you have this in pencil or fine liner, we're gonna paint right on top of this. This needs to be more here. It's way off center. I'm trying to figure out if I could center this more by sticking some more up here, but we're practicing, so that's okay. You could technically like cut your paper if you needed to. Yep, that's what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and start painting. So the squiggly centers have yellow and black in them, and technically our black could be our fine liner or a pencil. So we just need to plop some yellow in the center. I'm going to keep with the paints that I used yesterday because I'm sitting here just painting. So I've got some yellow here, and I just want to get a little bit of this color. Plop a little bit, need some brighter yellow. A little bit of yellow in our squiggly bits. Here and here. And if we want to go on with some like those black dots too, we can, but let's start with that. I'm going to actually soften the edges by rinsing my brush off and kind of pushing inward. So it softens that harsh edge, and it kind of puts a little bit of yellow onto the petal as well, but we're going to kind of soften that just a little bit. Okay. Since these here are wet, we're going to start with this one. And on these, the darker pigment's actually on the outside and fades to white in the middle, which is a little bit different than most. Let's see, what color are you? That's actually really perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take this pigment and I'm just going to scribble along the edge first with our pink. Rinsing my brush off completely, tapping it on my cloth, and then I'm just going to pull it down. May have to rinse and tap a couple of times. I have clean water on my brush and just kind of fading into that, okay? So pulling this down, fading down. Rinse, tap, and fade that down. Okay, keeping it super, super loose. That's pretty though. And sometimes having that guide of that pencil mark, or again, fine liner, whatever you used, is going to help. We've got a couple of petals outlying right here, so forgot about these two. Putting in that pigment first, rinsing, tapping, and pulling that color down. Tapping every once in a while to get excess pigment off of my brush if I'm pulling too much pigment down. I like that. That's fun. Okay, now let's do the rest. See, this took a very intimidating flower and made it to where we can kind of see our guidelines and see what we're going to do with this flower. So, all right. Scribbling the edges of these petals. Again, keeping this super relaxed and loose. Rinse and fade that down all the way to the center. How cool is that? Don't be afraid to kind of scrub that edge if it has started drying a little bit. We don't want a harsh line, so don't be afraid to kind of get in there and scrub that paper a little bit. And if that line is still there, you can go in with pigment again and put some more pigment over it, like so. You may have to do only a couple of petals at a time if your paint is drying in a harsh line like that. But okay, and now this folded over one, I want to make this folded over bit dramatic, and then we're going to make the inside of that petal pretty light. I want there to be some separation, so making a very, very light wash on that edge. See, we got this. This one's easy, right? This might take a little bit longer just because we have so many flowers, but the steps that we're doing are pretty simple. So just kind of going in. I think that one needs a little bit more pigment. All right, let's get the big daddy one here. Going on the edge of the petal. Get this bottom one. I'm gonna do 3 at a time for this one. Rinse, tap, drag down. Rinse, tap, drag this down to the edge of this next petal. And go into this one. And if you need to pause the video and catch up, or if this feels like it's too fast, again, you pause it. Oh, that's a pretty one. Or you can watch it first and then go back and paint with it the second time, or whatever. Everybody's learning style is completely different. For me, I like painting alongside in real time. For my sister, she a lot of times needs to see the steps first and then paint along. So everybody learns differently. So don't feel bad if you aren't getting it right away. Oh, that's just so cool. How cool is this? They're so simple, but it's so effective. Okay, sorry, I'm getting excited. Pulling this down. Tap, tap, tap. A little bit more. See if I can get this one. Rinse, tap, and blend. I know this one's a little bit more involved than the other ones have been, but I'm hoping you are following along and not getting too worried about being perfect. Guys, my mom is following along with us this year. She hasn't really ever painted with us, and I am so excited that she is going to be watercolor painting with us. So if you can, if you don't mind, in the comments, I would love for you to go down there and encourage my mom to keep painting with us. I told her she should post her flowers and show us, but all right, we've got one more petal, this curved one. Again, I want to make this part dark. And then the inside, very light. Okay, now let's get some greenery in here. This is making me happy. All right, so I'm getting this very vibrant green, and that is not natural. So we're gonna mix in a little bit of the same pink that we're using. That was a little bit too much. Back and forth. Needs a little bit of yellow, so let's take some yellow. There we go, we're getting somewhere. And touch of that pink, there we go. That's a pretty green. Oh, that's gorgeous. All right, so let's go on to our leaves. And we're just gonna put color down. We're not worrying too much here. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Just going and kind of scribbling the edge of that leaf. Like so. I want this jaggedy and very loose. Okay, putting that stem in here, putting in these little, whatever these are called. If you know what those are called, tell me in the comments. But I think we're running out of time today, so we're going to wrap that up here. But the center, I want to take whatever the deepest color you have is and mix in just a dark color. I'm tapping off all the extra water I can. And I'm just going to tap in a few little dots and lines in our center, just to give it a little bit more depth and interest. Okay? All right. That's it for today. This was day 8. We are cruising along in these. I hope that you are having fun. I like this one a lot. So I hope that you are enjoying and painting along with us, but that's it for today. If you did enjoy this one, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you want to see our future videos, hit the subscribe button down below. Oh my gosh, I'm covered in paint. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye. I like this one. You can do it. I like it. And I hope you, oh, come on, paint off the table.